Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, smash the subscribe button, it really helps me out. And also, if you could hit the like, it goes a long way. Anyway, another heavyweight prospect video coming at ya. Today we're going to be talking about a prospect called Jared Anderson. Now, Jared Anderson is a prospect based out of the United States, and he's only 20 years old. I've not actually covered a US prospect on my heavyweight prospect series yet, so Jared Anderson is the first one. And as far as I'm concerned, if I look at all of the US heavyweight prospects, guys like Trey Morrison, Stephen Shaw, Sonny Konto, I think Jared Anderson has the most upside and most potential. First and foremost, Jared Anderson as an amateur, he was good in the US. You know, he never really done much in international tournaments, but in the US, he was a solid amateur. For example, he beat guys like Cam F. Awesome, who was a mainstay in amateur boxing in the United States. Other than that, you know, he never really beat anybody of any real note in the amateurs. The best guy he fought in the amateurs was a guy called Vasily Levitt. Vasily Levitt went on to become a Olympic silver medalist, but Jared Anderson lost to Levitt in the amateurs by a close points decision. So as an amateur, Jared Anderson was decent in the States, but never really did too much on the world scene. However, from what I see of this guy, I actually believe there's some potential there. First and foremost, the guy is very young. He's got a lot of time for growth and development. He's actually only 20 years old. Physically, he's fairly big. He's 6'4", a fairly big unit. And at 20 years old, he's only going to get stronger. You know, a big guy like that very rarely has his man strength at 20 years old. This guy's only going to develop further physically. And in a few years' time, you know, this guy could be a bit of a problem. In regards to skill set, the guy brings some interesting attributes to the table. He likes to kind of push forwards behind his jab. I like how he varies his jab from body to head. He'll flick a quick jab to the head and change levels, go downstairs, jab to the body, and he'll try and come over the top with his right hand. He applies pressure. I like the fact he tries to work the body. A lot of heavyweights out there kind of neglect the body, to be honest. There's not many good body punchers in the heavyweight division. You know, you have a few like Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin, but they're few and far between. So a good body puncher is always something that catches my eye in the heavyweight division just because we don't really see it too often. And like I say, Jared Anderson, he likes to stab that jab to the solar plexus. He's got a fairly good left hook to the body, also a pretty good uppercut to the body as well. So yeah, I like the variety in his offense. He tries to throw different punches. He tries to mix it up and give you different things to think about. His style in general is kind of he's a come forward fighter, but he kind of comes forwards in a side on profile. He's kind of loose, kind of languid. He'll try and roll shots as he comes forwards, take the sting out of the shots, then come back with his own shots. He's got an interesting style, to be honest, and certainly a guy who's got potential and got upside. As you expect, you know, from a young pro at 20 years old with 3 fights. The guy, you know, he is a little raw. He is a little wild. You know, sometimes he'll throw punches when he's not in position, particularly with the left hook, and he'll throw himself off balance. But I think that's really an experience thing, to be honest. You know, he's not, once he has more fights, once he gets settled down, he'll understand, you know, range a bit better, when to punch, when not to punch. So I think those type of defects should iron themselves out as he has more fights. You know, sometimes he switches off defensively. You know, he's a come forward fighter, so he's going to get hit. But, you know, certain things, certain flaws in his game that are obviously apparent right now, I think they'll be ironed out as he has more fights. But, you know, he's a guy, in my opinion, with raw potential. I certainly wouldn't say he's a dead cert to win a world title or anything like that. But he's certainly a guy I would keep my eye on, Jared Anderson. I think he's worth keeping an eye on. I like the raw potential there with this guy. And like I said, he's got time on his side. He's 20 years old, and he's had 3 fights so far. He's 3-0 with 3 knockouts. Right now he's actually being promoted by Bob Arum. I think that's a really good fit, to be honest. I like the way Top Rank and Bob Arum move their prospects. I think they've got a good habit of getting the right fights at the right time, and they do well at developing young fighters. So I think Jared Anderson is in the right place to develop. I think he's in a safe pair of hands. You know, a young heavyweight like Jared Anderson, they need time. This guy's not getting hyped. He's not getting any attention, so they can take their time with him, and I expect Top Rank to do so. In 2 to 3 years, don't be surprised if you start hearing this guy's name get mentioned and he starts making some waves. I think he's an interesting prospect with an interesting style. He's got raw potential. He's certainly a guy I'm not banking on to become a heavyweight champion, but he's certainly a guy I'm keeping my eye on, and he's certainly a guy that I'm interested in. I like his style, so we'll see what happens with Jared Anderson. And also, interestingly, his nickname is the Real Big Baby, so make that what you will. Anyway, check out